Hey nerdy ghouls, or should I say spook worms! Welcome back to our spooky oasis. I am over the moon about today's video. It is officially our first Spook Worm Club video, or reading vlog I should say. In this video I'm going to be talking about my journey throughout the month reading about vampires. As you all know, the theme for our first readathon in May was vampires. So it's going to be all about my journey reading vampire books all month long. I'm going to share some of my thoughts and reviews of the books that I did read, and I'm also going to be sharing some Spook Worm Club details as well, as far as like what other spook worms are reading, your reviews, what you all did to keep the spook alive at vamp style this month, and I don't know, just soak in all of the fantastic cozy vampire vibes. I worked really hard on this video all month long. I had so much fun, honestly. Like, I have not kept the spook alive this hard in quite some time, so I really enjoyed this, and I hope that you guys soak in all of the amazing, spooktacular, cozy vampire vibes with me, because it was a vibe. I hope that you all vibe with it too. I also wanted to say to stick around, because towards the end of the video I'm also going to be sharing what the themes for all of Summerween are going to be for Spook Worm Club. But of course, before we get started, I wanted to say hello to any new nerdy ghouls or spook worms that might be watching. This is our spooky oasis where we celebrate the magic of Halloween and spooky pop culture every day. So if that's your vibe, I would greatly appreciate if you hit that subscribe button and join our nerdy ghoul community. All right, let's grave dig into some vampire vibes. Today worked out really well because it's been super gloomy all day. There has been thunderstorms. In fact, it's been so crazy that there's been like tornado warnings across the city. Thankfully not in my area specifically, but Mr. Spooks is actually coming home late today, which works out really well for me because it's going to continue to rain all night, and I figured I'd use this as self-scare time. So I'm actually going to attempt to bake a cake with you ghouls. Maybe, hopefully it works out. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to listen to Bram Stoker's Dracula, and then after I'm going to just, you know, set the mood, make it real spooky and vampy in here, and just enjoy this self-scare time that I don't really get to myself. Okay, so I just finished setting the cake and cutting the strawberries, and you guys, I like legit gasped with Dracula. So a little backstory, like I have never read Dracula at all, any of the like actual Universal, not Universal, but like original monster stories, you know, and I wasn't sure that I was gonna actually get into it, but the audiobook is only 2 hours. I don't know like if I'm listening to a like specific adaptation or retelling, you know, because there's like so many versions, but this one was like so easy to understand. I wasn't expecting it, and I legit like gasped. Like I had to like stop. I don't know if you guys noticed, there was a part where like I just stopped chopping because I was just like, oh my gosh. And I did not expect a book that old to like shakish me that way, you know? I don't even know how to say it. So yeah, but since I'm here, I figured I'd show you guys that I'm gonna give the little bears some strawberries. Little bears. Lolo. I got your two, Bruce. Over here. You guys want more? One more won't hurt you. My little bears love vegetables. Sit. Lolo. Hey! She moved so fast the camera couldn't focus. Interesting shot because my apartment is a mess right now. I'm doing like laundry, haven't put away stuff on the counter, so please excuse the mess as I welcome you into my cozy humble abode. But I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about Southern's book club to Slaying Vampires. I got back from my morning walk a little while ago, and I'm making my breakfast shake. This is gonna be like really silly, I guess, but I combine my shake with some super greens and some matcha. It's a vanilla shake, so it ends up tasting like a sorry, I'm obviously still catching my breath from my walk this morning. It's been like go go go. It ends up tasting kind of like a green tea latte from Starbucks almost. So yeah, that's what I have been enjoying making in the mornings. But yeah, so Southern's book club to Slaying Vampires. I am about halfway through the book, I think. Let me check. I'm officially on part 3, chapter 21, and it does look like that's about the halfway mark. Man, is it just me or is this book like really long? It hasn't felt long because it's really good, but it's just crazy to me. I've never seen like a physical copy of it, so I don't know like how thick the book really is or how small the text is on it. But I wanted to just say that the book has really surprised me because I'll just be honest, like obviously there's a lot of things about the book that I don't necessarily agree with or that don't sit right with me. You know, I don't uphold the values of the lifestyle and relationship dynamics at the time. Gotta count my teaspoons. 4, 5, 6, half teaspoons. Wow, I feel like I'm all over the place. I'm so sorry. I'm new to like reading vlogs, so this is kind of new for me and I'm nervous about it obviously, but I don't uphold the values of what's happening in the book, and I just wanted to like state that. But I will say that I am very surprised with the progression of the main character's development. I don't know how to like talk about the book without giving spoilers, but basically there was a scene where the character Patricia stood up for herself in front of everyone, and I was really surprised by it because at the beginning of the book she was this like really shy person, afraid of disappointing everyone and not like staying in her lane, even though she realized what was really wrong with the way people lived at those times, if that makes sense. So yeah, I feel like it's hard for me to talk about this book because it's been super entertaining. It keeps having these like twists and turns. I've been super like addicted to listening. Like every chance I have a free moment to listen while I'm like doing laundry, doing the dishes, walking, I have been so excited to start it, even if it's for like 2 minutes that my brain will be allowed to like listen to something. I have been super tuned in, but then I also have these like weird icky feelings. If you watch Love is Blind, the word icky stuck with me from is her name from Bliss? Anyway, so yeah, it's been really hard for me to figure out how to properly speak about this book without like glamorizing the Southern lifestyle at the time that it was done, but I also recognize things were different back then. But I also think it's pretty cool to see the characters just develop and the women kind of like develop this I guess confidence and strength to stand up for themselves. So far, like I said, I'm halfway through. But then also the other thing I wanted to say was that these husbands are horrible. Again, it's hard for me to talk about that time period, but also, man, I'm so glad we've come such a long way, because if Mr. Spooks were to treat me that way, there would be some discussions and divorces had. But anyway, so I wanted to share with you guys how I make my shake. So I blend the powders with this little stirring stick that we use for our coffees. I found that this really helps blend any like powders when you're not using hot liquid to like melt it and stuff. So yeah, this is my shake. I'm just gonna add some ice and get to editing my next video, because your ghoul has been waking up so early to go walk and listen to my books. It has helped me so much. I finally started waking up when Mr. Spooks leaves for work. I used to like go back to sleep for 30 minutes, wake up, walk, and then rush into work. But now it's barely 8:15, so I have 45 minutes to edit for a little while before I start my work day. So yeah. Okay. This is so good. I don't know why I haven't been having it the rest of my life. Anyway, I wanted to show you guys. I was gonna start editing, but then I was like, oh look, the bed needs to be made. That would be a perfect opportunity for me to listen to my book for 2 minutes while I make the bed. So that's what I'm gonna do before I start editing. Okay, I wanted to set some spooky vibes for you ghouls because I just finished Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires, and I did not expect to get spooked. I realized the first time I talked to you ghouls about the book, I didn't really know how to express what I was feeling, and I guess in general, I've thought about it a lot more as I have listened to the book more and completed it, and I think it's really crazy and it sounds very ignorant of me to say, but I guess I just didn't realize how far we have come from the 90s. Like when I was originally reading the book, even though I knew it was the 90s, I personally felt like it was like the 70s, the 60s or 70s. And it just shows like how out of touch with reality I really am, because I just couldn't believe the amount of misogyny and racism in the book for it to have been the 90s, because it feels like that was only 10-20 years ago, but it's been a lot longer than that now. And it was really hard for me to not feel guilty about enjoying the book, if that makes sense. I think what I felt was a lot of guilt being so into the storyline and enjoying it, because I felt like I shouldn't be enjoying it for the themes of racism, rape, child abuse, misogyny, just like all of those things are things that I don't condone or value or like, but I was somehow really entranced with the book. And so I think that's my overall feel for the book, is I feel guilty for enjoying it, if that makes sense. That being said though, I also had my first experience reading horror with this book. So I had not actually read an actual horror book prior to this book. I did read Mexican Gothic, which is considered horror, I think, but I wouldn't really consider it horror. Like, it wasn't a very spooky book in my opinion. But on that note, if I'm being honest, I really did enjoy the book, which is crazy. So a little background, this is my first actual horror novel that I have read. I did previously read like Mexican Gothic, but to me that wasn't very like spooky or scary, to be honest. So this was my first take, or like first try actually reading a horror book, and I was really surprised by the results, to be honest. I can handle a good amount of horror movies, so I figured reading horror was going to be boring for me, but I quickly realized that because you have to like imagine the scenes yourself when you're reading them or hearing them, that there's a lot left to the imagination, and I was like so entranced by this book. Like, I mean, I was listening to it any second I had time. Like, I had never been this hooked to an audiobook before, to the point where like even if it was just 2 minutes that I'd be able to pay attention, I would turn it on. And now that I finished it, I literally feel like that same feeling when you finish binging a Netflix show. Like, what am I gonna do with my life now that this book is over? Like, nothing is gonna fill this void, because I just never anticipated I was going to enjoy a horror book this much, or actually get scared. So, if you don't already know, I actually have a history of sleep paralysis. I have talked about it thoroughly on my Freddy vs. Jason episode of Not Another Spooky Podcast, but I basically go through phases where my sleep paralysis comes and goes, and this book reactivated it. I don't want to give away any spoilers of the book, but it's pretty much when the main character sees somebody appear to give her a warning. That scene really stuck with me for some reason, and I literally had sleep paralysis that I was going through my grandma's house, and there's always been this one room in particular that scares me about my grandma's house. So I had a dream that happened to me in that room, and it was to the point where I couldn't wake up, and thankfully it happened while Mr. Spooks was still here, and he knows how to wake me up when that happens and stuff. So it was crazy to me to realize that a book had the power to reactivate my sleep paralysis that I hadn't had in months. So I think a lot of you love being spooked and love that. I personally love the thrill of being spooked, but I don't love having sleep paralysis, so I had to stop listening to the book close to sleeping, just because like I think what would happen is it would just get me so like, oh my god, that was crazy, and like my brain would just get like excited, and I would have a really hard time like turning my brain off before bed. So take with that what you will, but like I said, I feel guilty for saying this, but I really enjoyed this book. There were definitely some inappropriate themes that I didn't expect it to have, because I went into the book pretty like blind. I didn't really know much about it other than a lot of people love it, but I have been told by Too Fond of Books, who has been such a great like resource for my reading journey. She did reach out to me and tell me that that was a really rough book to start a horror journey with because of the dark themes in it, to say the least. So if I got through that, I guess I could get through quite a bit then. I'm interested in trying something that has a bit more paranormal activity in it, just because I can't handle ghosts in movies, so I'm sure reading about them is gonna be pretty spooky. I also just thought someone was like behind me, like right here, and yeah. So yeah, I definitely feel like a Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires helped me keep the spook alive very well in May. If I were to give it a rating from 1 to 5 bats, I think I would give it 4.5 bats, if I'm being honest. I'm very picky when it comes to my reading. I have never enjoyed an audiobook as much as I enjoyed this one and been hooked, but that last half bat is just that like eerie feeling of, I didn't think that the child abuse, or I don't know, I just didn't feel like some of the themes were necessary for what I actually enjoyed in the book, if that makes sense. I will also say that like the book was just crazy. There were just so many scenes that I would like gasp and be like, oh my gosh, like just really gnarly scenes. So I really hope that they turn it into a movie very soon. So yeah, this is my first time doing a reading vlog like this. I realized that I forgot to film a lot of like my journey of me reading the book, but please leave me some constructive criticism or constructive feedback in the comments down below to share like how much more do you want me to talk about books, because I'm having a hard time sharing my thoughts on it without sharing spoilers. So I'm happy to hear any feedback on how you guys would love to see these reading vlogs evolve every month with Spook Worm Club. So I came to the mall and I have a Second and Charles here. I don't know if you guys have heard of it, but it is amazing. It is like a modern, funner Barnes & Noble in my opinion. But I wanted to check out the Grady Hendrix section just to see what they had, and I also wanted to just feel Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires in my hands for some reason. I know that's weird. Okay, I'm back from Second and Charles just now. You guys are gonna have to forgive me because I have realized that I am terrible at documenting my reading journey. I've been like, I don't know why, I've just been so into the books that I have forgotten to document like the process, if that makes sense. But anyway, let me backtrack a little bit. So today I woke up really early. I went to go get my Dutch Bros, and the weather is absolutely beautiful right now. It's 53 degrees at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. It's gloomy and cloudy and just like super breezy and nice. I wish I could have the windows open right now, but I'm filming and I don't want like people in the parking lot hearing me. But anyway, I started listening to one of my audiobooks on the drive. It was just like really peaceful with my coffee on the way to the store. I had some errands to run, like do some exchanges at Torrid, but there is a Second and Charles at my mall now and I freaking love it. I had never been to Second and Charles before, and I really love it because it feels like a Barnes & Noble meets Hot Topic meets Zia Records from Phoenix. So I don't know, it just gives me all of the happy vibes. They have books, they have records, they have mugs, they have bags. I don't even think I've ever gone through like the entire store, if I'm being honest. So I decided to stop by. As you guys saw, I am really glad that the Grady Hendrix book had like writing in it, because I was really tempted to buy Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires. I honestly have loved that book so much. I have thought about it more and more. Again, I still kind of feel like guilty for loving the book so much, but I genuinely just really loved it. I have not been able to get past the whole like that weird phase of like not wanting to start something else because it's just not gonna hit the same, if that makes sense. I did do something funny for you guys while I was at Torrid. There was a book, or a dress, sorry, with peaches on it, and I was like so tempted to get it and turn it into a photo op for you guys with like the actual book in hand, and just, I don't know, that's how much I love the book that I was tempted to wear not purple for you guys. So yeah, it was a fun day. I even like my shopping for clothes turned into a like bookish thing because again, I was like so tempted to do a Southern Book Club photo shoot for you ghouls, but at least you get to see the dress here. What else? Oh yeah, so there were a ton of books. I was really tempted to get a few of them, especially because of those like bargain prices. I see a bargain and I'm just like, oh, it's such a good deal though. But like I've said, I have enough with my mug collection and my bag collection that I can't afford physically or financially to keep collecting books on top of all of that. So I try really hard to stick to library checkouts or audiobooks, unless I really can't get the book at a library. What else? Okay, so as I was looking through the bargains and the collections, I realized that I never even gave you guys an update about Dracula. I just got so tired after making the cake and cozy listening to the audiobook. I honestly fell asleep. Like I said, I'm gonna try to be better about documenting next month, but I really think that I may have listened to a shortened version of Dracula because it was only like a 2-hour audiobook. I really enjoyed it so much. I was really surprised. I was by myself. I set the mood lighting. I got spooked a few times, which I did not expect by such an old book, but I don't know. I guess I'm just really surprised by the quality of it, but I don't know if I read like a modified version because I was skimming through the book in person at the store just now and it looks way longer. Like it doesn't seem like a 2-hour read to me. So if anyone has the details about that, please let me know in the comments down below. But I will say that the version I did listen to was so good. It was like straight to the point almost. I never felt like bored. I felt like I knew exactly what was going on, which was not what I expected from an older read like that. If I'm squinting, I'm sorry, it's because of the sun. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. If you have never read it, I highly recommend it. I just didn't expect it. Like I said, I was like shocked at certain points. I actually got a little spooked. And I might attempt to listen to it again at some point, like especially since it was so short. Like I did it in one night while I was like baking a cake, hanging out by myself until Mr. Spooks got home. So yeah, I really enjoyed that one. And then while I was shopping, I also saw the Grimm collection. I was inspired because when I asked on Discord what kind of themes you all would like, Poppy had recommended having a theme that is focused on just one author that has a lot of works. And I realized that Grimm would be a perfect theme because I've always wanted to read the original fairy tales since they're supposed to be on the darker side. So if you guys are interested in that theme, let me know in the comments down below. It probably wouldn't be for like a year because if I'm being honest, I already have this year mostly mapped out, but it's something I want to keep in mind. It was so hard not to get the collection I just saw because it was like under $8 and it looked like simple and it was really pretty. Like I said, it's really hard. I'm honestly considering asking Mr. Spooks if we can find a spot for me to put like a bookshelf somewhere or a little like reading cart. Leave a comment down below and say, please, Mr. Spooks, let Mandy Spooks get a new reading library at home. Cause like, I don't know, it's just so hard to like go out to the library or the bookstores and like see the books and not be able to buy any because they're just so beautiful. So I don't know, maybe I think by the fall I'll probably want to have like a little reading area just because I want to enjoy my season so hard. After having 1 year in Denver, I feel like I now have an idea of what to expect because last year so many people told me that fall happened so fast, and so like the whole season I just kept like anticipating like, is it over? Oh my god, like I just kept trying so hard to like do everything I possibly could during that time to not like miss anything, that I didn't get to actually enjoy it, and it definitely felt a little longer than people had made it out to be. So this year I'm just looking forward to really enjoying the season and like going with it and feeling it versus like feeling this anxiety to just like get through all of it, if that makes sense. So yeah, wow, that was a really long story, but I just feel like I haven't been great about giving updates, and I thought today was the perfect time to just kind of catch you guys up to speed. And I didn't even talk about the most important thing, which is the drink that I got at Dutch Bros. It is my first time trying the Golden Eagle. My brother highly recommended it to me, so like I don't talk about my family much, I've realized, in my content, and it's just because I try to keep my personal life private, especially because I don't want my family or my close friends to feel like I'm exploiting them in any way, if that makes sense. Besides Mr. Spooks, he has to be exploited by marriage. Just kidding. But that's the reason I don't. But my brother is like my nerdy soul twin or something. Like, I grew up with him. A lot of what I love was influenced by him, and one of those things is coffee. We always talk about like what we're drinking and stuff, and he highly recommended the Golden Eagle, but I had never tried it because I don't like to drink all my sugar. But today I finally asked them if they could make it sugar-free. I don't know that it's fully sugar-free because I don't think they make sugar-free caramel, but a win is a win. So I finally tried it today, and it is so good. It tastes like a caramel macchiato. Like, why didn't anyone ever tell me that? So yeah. Editing Mandy here, checking in. So I did want to give you guys an update on The Lost Girls. I realized that I actually read the majority of that book when I was filming my vampire vlog a couple weeks ago. So I never actually did my review for this vlog specifically. So I did want to share some thoughts on The Lost Girls, as I had mentioned before. So if I were going to give this book a rating right off the bat, I would give it 3 bats, if I'm being honest. This book came highly recommended from Happy Haunts Library, who I totally vibe with, and I almost like hate giving a neutral review on the book for that reason, but I wanted to be honest because everyone has different taste in books. I kind of felt like the book was very at face value for me. I didn't really like that a certain relationship in that book progressed so quickly. Like, it just didn't feel very organic to me. It felt very rushed, and I felt like they could have had a lot more fun with this storyline. I mentioned several times that it was like John Tucker Must Die with vampires, and I didn't feel like it had the playfulness and amount of comedy that John Tucker Must Die has, and that's just my own self putting expectations on the book that I shouldn't have. So that was my overall kind of like fight, or like, what is it called when you have like that thing that you have against something? Anyway, that was what I didn't like about the book. I just kind of wanted more substance, if that makes sense, like more chemistry, more of everything, if that makes sense. But the one cool thing about it was that it was a unique universe of vampires, if that makes sense, like a new way of having vampires with their own rules, which I found very interesting, and I have actually found to be something I really enjoyed about reading vampire books was when I didn't know what to expect because it wasn't the typical vampire rules that you're used to. So I did enjoy that part. I think part of why I didn't enjoy the book as well was because some of those rules were kind of actually like depressing and showed the not so glamorous side of being a vampire, a very more realistic sense of what being a vampire could be like. And like, this is our spooky oasis. We're here to daydream about sparkly vampires, you know? So I don't know, I wasn't digging the reality and the sadness of the book, if that makes sense. And I don't know, I think I just really expected a more fun read, and it aired more on the like sad realistic side. And I did appreciate that there was some LGBTQ plus representation in it, but again, I wish that that specific storyline would have been a little more thought out and developed versus like, to me it felt like it was a relationship that was thrown together quickly to make the book more interesting, if that makes sense. And I'm so sorry for saying that because some of you love it, and like I said, I hate rating things negatively. I don't even talk about anything I don't like on the podcast for that reason, but since I spent time reading it, I thought I would share that feedback. And then another book that I did read that did not make it through my reading vlogs, like I said, I will do much better of documenting next month, was Fangs, the graphic novel. Guys, I have no idea why no one else is hyping this book up so hard. I loved this graphic novel so much. It was such a quick read. I want to purchase it because I want to reread it like once a month. It was such a quick read. It was so fun. It was full of puns that I love. It was just such a great vibe. Not what I expected at all from the cover. I give it 5 out of 5 freaking bats. This is your sign. If you did not get to read it, you should still squeeze it in whenever you can this year. It's a super quick read. It shouldn't take too much time away from whatever other Spook Worm Club reads you decide to dig into next month. And yeah, that's all I'll say about Fangs. Okay, before we wrap things up, there are still 2 very important things I want to share with you all, which is overall recap of other things that other Spookworms did throughout the month for VAMPATHON, and then don't forget we are also going to discuss our upcoming themes. So I wanted to give a major, huge thank you to the entire Spook Worm Club community. I'm just going to be 100 with you ghouls. This month has probably been my favorite month in my entire content creator journey because you ghouls have been living and breathing what I have been for the past month, and it has meant the world to me that you ghouls just took this crazy idea of a readathon and you took it like 10 times further. Like, some of you asked which movies to watch within the theme as well, which is like such a Mandy Spooks thing to do. Like, why didn't I actually include that in my recs? And then Poppy, which is Halloween is my happy place on Instagram, shared how she was wearing a bat themed top to match the theme for the month, and Chapters from the Crypt showed her reading haul which was her, oh my god, I'm so excited I can't even talk, which was her TBR for the month, and she ended up finishing it that she ran out of books before the time was up. So just like anything I could have dreamt up for Spook Worm Club ghouls is honestly like never going to compare to what you actually came through with, and I'm so excited to continue to grow it. I did want to create something, which I don't know if it'll continue or not, but I wanted to have a MVB, which is most valuable book, because turns out the entire Spook Worm Club loved Garlic and the Vampire, which was one of my recs for this Vampathon. And I didn't really anticipate everyone to be reading the same books, but it seemed like so many of you chose to read it because it was such a short, cozy read. And the feedback was phenomenal. Everyone who read it absolutely loved it, gave it 5 bats. So I did want to coin Garlic and the Vampire the most valuable book of Vampathon for May in Spook Worm Club, which is really exciting. So I'm excited to see if we ever have another book that sticks out this way in future readathons, and just continue to see where Spook Worm Club goes, because like I said, you have made me the happiest ghoul in the world by going along with this theme and vibing with me, and now you guys have set the bar so high that you just have to keep reading with me. Okay, so that being said, I do have the next 3 months of Spook Worm Club planned out. I did get some feedback that you all would love some more time to plan out your reads. So for June, we are going to be doing Spooky Summer Camp. So any book that features or takes place at a camp and is spooky, whether it's spooky cute, horror, thriller, mystery, whatever you enjoy counts. And then for July, we're going to be doing any book that takes place near or features a body of water. And then for August, we're going to be having a hauntathon, which means any book that features or takes place at a haunted house or location. So I'm really excited about all of those. I'm working very hard on putting together some book suggestions for you all. But just a reminder that those book suggestions will be featured on Not Another Spooky Podcast on the 1st of every month. So on June 1st, you can check out Not Another Spooky Podcast to find out what my book recs are for Spooky Summer Camp in June. Oh, and one more very important thing. I have also decided that the way we're going to feature actual book reviews is going to be via the templates that I've created on Instagram, just because I realized the question box on Instagram isn't really big enough to get feedback about actual books. So what I'll be doing is, like I said, on the 1st of every month, I'll be releasing new templates on my Mandy Spooks Instagram for that specific theme. So whenever you finish a book, you can use that template and then put your review, your rating, tag me. And then at the end of the month, I'll go in and select a few of the reviews to read on these videos moving forward. So I hope that you guys enjoy that. I hope that you all continue to enjoy Spook Worm Club. Please leave any recommendations down below for Spooky Summer Camp books. And then also let me know what you read through Vampathon and if you'll be joining us for the month of June. If you are new around here, I would greatly appreciate if you hit that subscribe button and help us get closer to 5,000 subscribers. Until next time, sending you ghouls and kisses. Bye!